Should you use your own name for the website? And if so, why? The general advice out there is to build your personal brand. Hello, and welcome to Brand Tuned, the only podcast on branding that covers IP, which is intrinsic to business and brands. I'm Shireen Smith, lawyer, brand strategist, and curious business owner, keen to discover the secrets of effective brand building to create a successful business. I'm delighted to announce that this is the first episode of Season 4, which will take us up to the end of September 2021. We've got lots of exciting episodes in the pipeline, including Mark Ritson, John Williams, Bryony Thomas in April, and then later on, Rand Fishkin, Derek Day, and much more. During the 6 months that I've been working on the manuscript, I've not had much time to do solo episodes to update you with my thinking as the book progressed. One thing I'm really chuffed about is how I've managed to shed 8 kilos or so and have kept the weight off by doing enough daily exercise to be able to eat and drink what I like. It's just so nice to be able to relax in the evenings by having a good meal and some wine. So I'm pleased I can enjoy good food and wine while still keeping my weight to the one I achieved after dieting before Christmas. What about you? How have you fared during these times? I'd love to know. Why don't you sign up to the new newsletter that I'm creating and let me know? But flush with this success, I can't believe that I actually allowed myself to be 8 kilos heavier for all those years now that I've actually managed to shed the weight. I'm actually even thinking, why not go back on the Fast 800 diet to drop another 4 or 5 kilos so I can actually be the weight I used to be in my late 20s and early 30s. Anyway, let's now get started with this week's episode. It's been quite a journey writing the Brand Tuned book. I'm just about to submit the manuscript to the publisher at the end of March, so I'm gearing up to do more solo episodes in the next few months. The book will be out in September 2021. Having seen the problems that arise when the interplay between brand and intellectual property is misunderstood, I wanted to cross the chasm that actually exists between the worlds of branding and brand protection to explain IP in the context of brand creation. You see, I don't think the public realize just how vast a body of knowledge is involved in each of these two fields. At the time of writing, there's very little IP training included in branding courses, university MBA courses, and courses in design. Indeed, I was surprised to discover that organizations like the Chartered Institute of Marketing don't currently include intellectual property training in their syllabus either. Some courses might include 1 or 2 short talks on IP for their students, but this really is hardly enough. These professionals need to know much more about IP to do their jobs effectively. Choosing names is a particularly important topic that is missing from these professionals' training. Even if somebody isn't going to be choosing names for their clients, they would benefit from understanding the legal aspects of naming to be able to guide their clients. The fact is that IP is intrinsic to business. It's not just a legal subject to be left to the lawyers. It's naive to assume that your designer or marketer knows all the key information they need to know about IP to advise you. At the moment, service providers have to pick up the knowledge they need as they go. As IP tends to be quite nuanced, it happens all too often that it's misunderstood. It's one topic where a little knowledge is quite a dangerous thing. My aim with the book is to give a holistic view of how to bring the worlds of brand creation and brand protection together so you can get the best outcome from branding. The book isn't aiming to tell you how to design and create your brand. If that's your end goal in terms of having a DIY type book, then reading my book on branding would be advisable to do first because it gives you the roadmap to understand what's involved to create a brand and build it. It gives you the full picture about all the decisions that you are going to need to make along the way. The chapters Think IP First and Name It Right provide key insights that are not generally known in the brand creation world or in the entrepreneur community, even by major investors. The problems that I'm keen to help solve with this book is to guide businesses, designers, marketers, freelancers, anyone interested in developing a brand to approach branding and intellectual property together. They're intertwined because when you create brand elements like names, logos, symbols, etc., you are actually creating intellectual property. So you have to be guided by the law in what you create. You need to also understand what the law has to say about these rights and how to secure your ownership. Just as when you see a plot of land that you want to buy, you would first buy it and then build on it. So with IP, you should do some checks to establish whether you can have your desired name or symbol. And if so, first kind of buy the rights to the name, that is by registering a trademark, before building your brand or creating logos around that name. Now, in countries like the UK and EU, it's more important to do the checks to assess the risks before applying to register a trademark. That's because it's possible to register exactly the same name as someone else has already trademarked. You're then vulnerable to having your trademark cancelled. I see many problems people face through not knowing how to combine brand creation with brand protection thinking. They can get really stuck not knowing how to move forward with their plans. So, say, for example, you want to launch a website, a course, and a podcast. Now, the name will be an issue you need to decide. You may be thinking of one name for the course and maybe another for the podcast and website, but should you trademark the names? What are the costs? What are the implications of doing so? Given that you don't know whether your course will even be successful, is it worth investing in the name? The name for the website and podcast presents other questions. For example, should you use your own name for the website? And if so, why? The general advice out there is to build your personal brand, but you may not have one yet and may wonder, whether it would be better to use your business name, or should you use a descriptive, keyword-rich domain name? You then come up against other issues. What top-level domains to use if the .com isn't available or is too expensive to buy? If it's available at a price, should you spend the money to secure it? And sometimes people even intend to use different domain names, several different domain names. The fact is that such decisions are really difficult for any thoughtful entrepreneur poised to create their brand platform because it requires an understanding of IP, particularly trademarks and domain names, but also of branding, search engine optimization, and marketing down the line, as well as PR. So all of these will give rise to further questions in due course. To think strategically involves having some of the basic knowledge and insights so you can make your good decisions. Now, this is where the Brand Tuned book will come into its own. It gives you answers to many of these questions, in fact, to all of them, and much more. See, answers to questions that you're not even aware you need to ask. Although more and more people are running their own businesses nowadays, according to the statistics from the UK government, most SMEs do not last longer than 10 years. Judging by the cases I see, some of them fail because they had made a key IP mistake, or there are just too many that you could make in terms of mistakes. So knowing which ones to avoid can be quite difficult for people. I can't just say, oh, avoid X, Y, Z, and then you're done. So I'm keen to impact those figures with this book so more entrepreneurs can start their brands or rebrands on the right footing, equipped with the right knowledge to know who to consult and when in order to increase their chances of successfully achieving their business goals. My ambition for the book is to begin to fuse the worlds of brand creation and brand protection to benefit the customer. We all see the world from our own unique perspective. Our worldviews shape the way we think, the way we behave, and the actions we take, as well as the results we get in life. In my case, I have too often come across businesses that have made ill-informed decisions when creating their brands, decisions that were not so easy to reverse down the line. Some of these decisions made their business journey unnecessarily difficult and even pushed them into insolvency. I wanted to better understand the context in which branding decisions are made by immersing myself in the world of branding and brand creation, and even taking on a few clients and coaching them on their brand and business strategy. I was able to use my understanding of what's involved to protect brands to guide my clients to make good choices, such as of names and brand symbols, and how to choose the names as well. You don't need somebody else to do this stuff for you. You just need some guidance. So Brand Tuned isn't about doing the legal work, but it does freely offer legal advice in an accessible, affordable way. Legal services work needs to be done separately by your lawyers. It could be handled by my law firm Asrights, but it doesn't need to be. I'm not doing this work to attract legal services work. My purpose is to help clients, listeners, and readers of my book to design their business and brand effectively so the structure of their business supports them to launch effectively. This is about designing the business correctly, not about getting visual designs. Now, I've already been very interested in marketing for a long time. So now, having immersed myself in the world of brand creation, I've decided to sign up to do some advanced training in marketing because this is where I see my future, being a coach, advisor, and educator on brands and business. By drawing on all the disciplines that impact the subject, I think I have some unique skills to offer clients and listeners. When you turn your knowledge and skills into a business, you create intellectual property, so it makes sense to use IP law to guide your decisions. The perspective of IP is largely missing in branding, let alone where it's most needed, which is right at the beginning of the branding process. To get your desired results in business, it helps to consider IP before creating the business, brand, or product, or before rebranding an existing brand. The book, Brand Tuned, is already up on Amazon for pre-order. Get it and learn how to fuse branding and IP so you can think through your ideas and define and develop your brand to increase your chances of succeeding. After this studying, I've emerged with useful knowledge and advice. The work involved has been far more extensive than I could have known when I embarked on the exercise. Brand as a subject is as vast as business itself, and there are huge differences of opinion around key aspects of it, which have practical implications on the book I wrote. For example, all the work by the Ehrenberg Bass Institute and Byron Sharp's ideas, I had to assimilate those while also learning about branding in many respects for the first time. So it was a huge, huge task. And I'm really pleased to have got to the end of the journey. That's it for this week. Do subscribe to the Brand Tuned newsletter to get weekly updates. I'd also love to get your feedback. Just send me an email to info@brandtune.com. Finally, if you liked the episode, please do share it with your friends and colleagues and review it on iTunes or whichever platform you use to listen to podcasts. If you leave us a 5-star review, it means more people will listen and we can spread the word much more quickly about the podcast. Thank you and bye for now.